All right, you guys, here is your literary analysis video. For some of you all, this is a repeat of things that we talked about in class. For the rest of you all, these are things that you really need to have before you all come to class tomorrow. All righty, so let's hop into this video. Okay, literary analysis essay. Oop, what in the world? Is my thing stuck? Okay, hold on. Okay, I guess we got to do it like that then. So we know that we will be crafting an effective, logical, organized analytical essay. We talked about in class what analytical means. So we're going to break down certain components to see how they fit together. More specifically, we're going to interpret a piece of literature. We're going to look at the overall message. You guys get to choose which message you are writing about. Are you going to analyze the central idea or the theme? The majority of you all have selected a theme. That is fine with me. You're going to discuss how the author communicates this message. Again, when we're talking about communication with the author, we're talking about how things are written. So we're going to be looking at diction and things such as figurative language, connotations, euphemisms. You know the drill. If you don't, you know where to go and get that resource from, correct? Correct. Yes, Google Classroom. You're also going to analyze how the author uses the literary elements or devices. Literary elements or devices, or you may also hear me say technique. So when I'm talking about techniques, I am talking about the literary devices such as the metaphors, the similes, the foils, the things of that nature, the rhyme scheme. When I'm talking about literary elements, I'm talking about the things that make up the story, such as the setting. You got to have a setting. You got to have characters. You have to have conflicts. You have to, and the conflicts can be internal, external. And remember, we discussed in the previous video and also in class, sometimes we may have internal conflicts that will create an external response to the conflict. Yes, you can analyze that as well. And irony and things of that nature. All righty. So, our goal today is to establish a claim. So, before you come to my class tomorrow, you need to have a right and tight uh, claim statement. A claim is your opinion. And we're going to also talk about interpreting the evidence from the text, which will be your support. Okay. We're also going to talk about, and this will be in another video, how to structure a well developed essay. And of course, at the end of all of this, you got to make it right and tight by using correct conventions. And of course, academic appropriate language, okay? I don't want you all to use bad, sad, mad. Those are your favorite words. Unfortunately, we will not be using those words in this essay, okay? Alrighty. Okay, so here's your prompt. We talked about this in class. I want you to go ahead and pause right here. Take a minute to read over this prompt because this is your prompt that you're going to have to come back to because this is your guide. This is going to show you what to write about. So I'm going to go ahead and let you pause the video. Alrighty, so we're going to talk about pulling apart the prompt. So pal the prompt. So we're going to pull apart the prompt. That's what we're going to do together. And I have one. I have a writing prompt that is similar to the one that you all just read on the last slide. And pulling apart the prompt will help you organize your thoughts and your writing. Okay. All righty. And of course, you know the W is for right, 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 right. So when we're pulling apart the prompt, this is my prompt. And it says, you have read William Blake's The Poison Tree. Write a multiple paragraph informational essay explaining how do patterns or contrast in language reveals a central idea or theme of the poison tree. Manage your time carefully, and here's why. Because I'm going to time you tomorrow so that you can plan your essay and do some pre-writing using your scratch paper. Be sure to use details from both passages. This does not apply to you, but this will apply. This will be the same type of prompt that you will have when we come back in 2020. And so you're going to write. Your written response should be in the form of a multi-paragraph informational essay. All right, so remember we talked about pulling apart the prompt. So I want you all to make a T-chart if you have already done this. Great! If you have not, I need for you to do this because this will be proof to the pudding that you watched this video, okay? That you're watching it. And not only are you watching it, but you're doing the work. So you're going to have a T-chart, and on your left side, you're going to write the word verb, which is the action. And then on the right side, you're going to write the word what. Okay? So going back to our prompt, the very first verb that I see is write. Well, what am I going to write? I'm going to write a multi-paragraph essay. Okay? So then I go back to my prompt, and the next verb that I see is explaining, right? That's an action. If I'm explaining something, I'm doing an action. Well, what am I explaining? We're going to eat the meat and spit out the bones. I'm explaining patterns and contrast in language. So, patterns or contrast in language. That is what I'm going to explain. And then the next thing, the next verb that we saw was what? Reveal. Very good. Well, what am I going to reveal? Or what should be revealed? A central idea or a thing. All right, so here's our T-chart. We're going to just simplify what you just wrote. I'm going to write a multi-paragraph essay that is going to explain patterns or contrast in language that reveals a central idea or a theme. Got it? Simple. I know you do. All right, so here's your writing prompt again, right? I want you to do the same thing. So go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to pick up and do the very same thing that we just did. If you've already done it, great. You're wonderful. You're awesome. Like, totally. All right. Now, this is, oh, we're going to go back to this one. It's the same thing. Correct? Correct. Yeah. So if you did not write this down in class, make sure you go ahead and pause the video, write this down. So when you come to me tomorrow, you have proof that you did your homework, right? Right. All right. So this is my prompt. This is my example. So I have to write an essay. And my essay will explain, and I chose patterns. I'm going to explain patterns, a pattern that reveals a thing. Got it? So I'm going to write an essay that talks about how the theme was created through patterns seen in the text. All right, so that brings us to your thesis statement. So your thesis statement is the most important sentence of your essay. Your thesis statement is the roadmap. It's going to set the structure of your essay. Your thesis statement is the answer to the prompt. So if you turn the prompt into a question and answer it, you will come up with your thesis statement. This is what I mean. The prompt says write a multiple paragraph explaining what? How do patterns or contrast in language reveal a central idea or thing? Well, you can say Shakespeare uses patterns to reveal the theme of. That's one easy way you could do that. Or you could do what I'm looking for, uh, which I'm going to show you how to do in this video. Okay, so let's talk about your thesis statement and your claim. Again, it will answer the prompt. Your thesis statement must consist of two parts: claim, which is your opinion, and evidence. Evidence are those things, those little pieces of textual evidence that support what you're saying. They are the specific pieces of evidence that you've seen in the text that's going to prove that your opinion is correct. Again, like I said, claim is your opinion. Your opinion for this particular essay will be your interpretation of this piece of literature. Remember in class, I probably did not do this for all classes. When I'm talking about interpretation, I'm talking about making sure that someone understands what is being said. For example, I use the example in class. If I were to say, um, como se dice, and I point at a cup, como se dice in Espanol, if you don't speak Spanish, you don't know what I mean, right? Or what I said. So you will need an interpreter. And so that the person who is going to interpret the what I said in Spanish, they're going to tell you this is what she said in English. So this is basically what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to interpret. You're going to explain a piece of textual evidence. You're going to explain a theme to me that you saw in this text. So this interpretation should come in the form of a theme statement and should be universal or in the format of central idea, and it could be unique. Here's an example. The lack of freedom leads to secrecy. Do you see that in Romeo and Juliet? Could that be true for any text? If you don't have freedom, will you be doing things in secrecy? Well, let's think about this. Slaves didn't have freedom, did they? No. What did they do? They started holding secret meetings and planning their escape. But boom, I just proved my point. So that theme message can apply to any text. Okay, so evidence. Again, we're talking about specific pieces of evidence from your text, which you will use to discuss your claim. You're going to use these pieces of evidence to discuss your claim. For a literary analysis essay, what am I asking you to focus on? I'm asking you to focus on 2 to 3 pieces of literary elements or a literary technique. All right, so I'm going to give you just a brief overview of topic versus claim versus central idea. A topic is a subject. It's one word or a group of words. For example, wrath. Wrath is one word. This is a topic. This is what something is about. A phrase. We know a phrase is a group of words that do not have both subject and a verb. So the power of wrath. Well, what is being said about the power of wrath? Nothing. That makes it a topic. So a theme is the message about life or human nature. Okay, it is a lesson that can be applied to your own specific life. It's a lesson that can be applied to a 4-year-old or anyone else. And you can also take this theme, just like I did in the previous example, and apply it to another piece of evidence. It can be universal. Universal means that anyone in the whole, it can apply to anyone in the whole world, regardless of race, religion, sexual orientation, sexual orientation, sex. Doesn't matter if you male, female, black, white, you wear a wig for natural hair. This applies to you too. Central idea. Central idea is telling what the text is about in its entirety. What is Romeo and Juliet about? Not the lesson. What is it about in its entirety? And it cannot be applied to any other text because it is uniquely connected to this particular text. Alrighty, what is really going on? Okay, so we have about 1 minute and I'm going to go through these slides, okay, very quickly, so you need to listen. So your thesis statement will be in the lead to format. This helps you because it's going to give you the cause and effect structure, right? So I said a dishonest heart causes paranoia. Well, how does that do that? So I'm looking at how my character shows dishonesty and how dishonesty caused him to be paranoid. All right, so this is your thematic statement. I want you to look at this, pause it, write it down, and I want you to try it. You're going to list a couple of topics that you see in Romeo and Juliet. What do you think the play is saying about these particular topics? And then you're going to create a lead to statement, okay? All right, so how you add evidence to your claim? Very, very simple. You're going to look at your literary techniques and devices or your elements, and do these things support what you're saying? Here is an example. Got it? If you have any question, go ahead and email me. See you later.